Before the knockouts, before the gold belts, before the myth, there was a boy hiding behind oversized hands and a broken voice. This is not the story of Iron Mike. This is the story of the child he tried to bury. Brownsville, Brooklyn, the 1970s. This was America's forgotten corner, a place where graffiti on broken walls served as the only art, and police sirens were the only lullabies. Hope wasn't just scarce here, it was ridiculed. Poverty wasn't a temporary condition, it was the soil in which everything grew. A young Mike walks through these streets with his head down. He is pudgy. He is shy. His clothes are too big, hand-me-downs that hang off his frame. His voice is too quiet, carrying a lisp that makes every word a struggle. He wasn't born a fighter, he was born prey. The neighborhood kids circle him like wolves sensing a wounded animal. They sneer, "What are you gonna do, fat boy?" Mike freezes. He learned early that silence becomes armor. Invisibility becomes strategy. To be seen was to be hurt. Later, he finds his way to a rooftop. Above the chaos of the streets, wings flutter. Pigeons, dozens of them. They are the only things in his world that didn't laugh at him. He whispers to them, stroking a feathered head with a gentleness no one showed him. "You're my buddy. You won't hurt me." This is his first sanctuary, a cathedral of feathers and quiet trust. For hours, he is not a victim. He is a caretaker, until one afternoon, a bully follows him up the stairs. "Let me see your bird," the older boy demands. Mike hesitates, fear locking his throat. The bully grabs one pigeon. He laughs, a cruel, sharp sound. He squeezes, and then he snaps its neck. He throws the lifeless bird at Mike, wiping blood on his shirt. The sound of that snap is tiny, but in Mike's world it is cosmic. It is the sound of the last safe place shattering. Mike's eyes widen. Something primal rises from the pit of his stomach. He lunges, fists flailing, rage exploding where fear once lived. He doesn't fight with technique. He fights like something ancient just woke up inside him. He beats the bully until the crying stops. The bully bleeds. Mike stands over him, not victorious, transformed. Years later, he said, "When he killed my pigeon, something went off inside me. I realized I liked the feeling. I liked the power." Trauma was his ignition switch. 38 arrests before age 13. He wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was a child screaming the only language Brownsville understood: violence. He is sent to reform school, silence, isolation. Unpredictability became his only shield against the older inmates. Then a counselor notices the strange rhythm in his anger. Mike punches walls not just to break them, but to feel something. The counselor sees potential in the destruction. A name is written on a scrap of paper: Cus D'Amato. Enter Cus. White hair, old eyes, a voice carved from experience and paranoia. He watches a film of 13-year-old Mike sparring. He sees raw instinct wrapped in pain. Their first meeting isn't cinematic. It's awkward. Cus asks, "Why do you fight?" Mike stares at the floor, ashamed. "Because I don't want anyone to hurt me." Cus smiles, a rare, warm expression. "Good. Fear is your best friend." Cus didn't teach punching first. He taught alchemy. He sits Mike down and stares into his eyes. The hero and the coward feel the same fear. The difference is what you do with it. The hero uses it. The coward runs. You must learn to use it. You must let the fear turn into fire. He whispers mantras like scripture, programming Mike's mind day and night. You are a god. You are fire. You are destruction. No man can stand before you. Cus wasn't training a boxer, he was forging a storm. And Mike, for the first time in his life, felt seen, not as a victim, but as a warrior. Morning runs in the Catskill Mountains, lectures on history and psychology, Cus's hand correcting his stance. Not affection spoken, but affection enacted. Cus didn't replace Mike's father, he invented one. "You will be the youngest heavyweight champion in history," Cus declared. Mike didn't believe it, but faith is contagious, especially to a boy starved for belonging. His first amateur fight. The bell rings. Seconds later, the opponent falls. Mike sits alone in the locker room, trembling, not from pain, from discovery. He looks at his hands, realizing the truth. I can hurt people, and they clap for it. Power had a language. Fear, once the predator became the prey. Then, the hospital room. Machines breathing for a man who taught him how to breathe. Cus grips Mike's hand, his voice weak but intense. "You make them afraid before they see you. Remember that." Final breath. Silence. Everything began here. Mike became the beast. But the architect was gone. This is the sound that would define him. The bell. Not a school bell. The bell that separated the world into two dimensions, inside the ring and outside of it. In one, he was a god. In the other, he was a lost child with a crown too heavy for his neck. Mike emerges from the tunnel, a simple towel over his shoulders. No robe with sequins, no theatrics. He doesn't come to perform. He comes to devour. But behind the stare-down mask there is trembling. He is terrified. So he speaks to himself in whispers, a ritual to summon the monster. "I'm the most ferocious fighter alive. I will eat his heart. I am invincible." This is not bravado. It is anesthesia. Because if he stops believing he's a god even for a second, the terrified boy returns. Cus's training lives here, fear turned into ritual. The bell rings. Mike doesn't box. He storms. Hooks that sound like gunshots. Head movement that defies physics. Opponents crumble. Crowds roar. But they don't ask what it costs him to become this. They cheer the destruction, never wondering what it meant for the man doing the destroying. 1986. Trevor Berbick falls in fragments. The coronation. Belts are draped on him, gold shining under the lights. But look at Mike's eyes. They betray confusion, not triumph. Reporters ask how it feels. "I'm the best. I feel invincible." But it sounds like a boy reciting scripture he doesn't fully understand. Later, in a massive hotel suite, empty plates of room service, the TV is replaying his own destruction of men. He watches himself as if watching a stranger. He has fame. He has millions. But he has no one to teach him how to live with it. He visits Cus's grave in the cold wind. "I did it, Cus." No answer. Sometimes victory feels like abandonment. Then the predators arrive. Don King with arms spread wide, smiling like a shark. "You my son now, champ." Contracts appear with hooks embedded in the fine print. Robin Givens, public love, private fracture. The world watches televised interviews where she diagnoses him as manic-depressive while he sits beside her, silent, heavily medicated, exposed. The discipline evaporates. The training camps become parties. The boy is drowning inside the god. Yet the ring still accepts him. He walks through opponents believing he is untouchable. Not because he trained hard, but because he believed the universe owed him invincibility for the pain he suffered. Until Tokyo. Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Douglas is fighting with grief behind him. His mother had just died. Mike is fighting with ghosts chasing him. Douglas will not be afraid. And that refusal to fear breaks Mike more than any punch. The fall is slow motion. Mike hits the canvas. He crawls, grasping for his mouthpiece, jamming it into his mouth sideways. It is the image of a child reaching for a security blanket in the dark. The count hits 10. God hits the earth. It wasn't just a loss. It was a cosmic correction. In the mirror later that night, Mike sees not Iron Mike. He sees Michael, the boy from Brownsville. The fracture begins to widen. Some defeats bruise the ego. Some defeats bury the soul. Tokyo buried him. Then came Indianapolis, the trial, accusations. Truth became irrelevant. Public perception had already reached a verdict. The courtroom was theater, and he was cast as the monster. Prison, cold beds, concrete dreams. He had lived in cages before, only now it was official. Unexpectedly, he doesn't dissolve. He studies. He reads Marx, Hemingway, Malcolm X. He prays to Mecca. He trains until his knuckles split against the stone walls. The monster evolves, quiet, controlled, watchful. He walks out of prison gates. Reporters expect rebirth, but rebirth requires death, and he hasn't died yet. Back in the ring, he fights to exist, not to dominate. The joy is gone. Only the paycheck remains. Holyfield. Patient, disciplined, spiritual. If Tyson was chaos incarnate, Holyfield was a controlled storm. He embodied everything Mike feared: calm, purpose, faith. Holyfield defeats him gracefully. A mirror of calm Mike cannot access. The rematch. This was not a fight. It was an eruption of psychological pressure. A bite, blood, chaos. The world laughs. They call him an animal. But they don't hear the scream behind it. Madness is simply logic accelerated past endurance. Ban, ridicule, free fall. Addiction doesn't seduce him. It anesthetizes him. He burns through hundreds of millions of dollars. Bankruptcy isn't financial. It's spiritual. He creates chaos because peace feels unfamiliar, dangerous. Then, the call that stops time. His daughter. Exodus. Gone. A freak accident. Mike collapses. A mountain of a man weeping on the asphalt. Iron Mike died that day because armor cannot protect the heart from grief. Weeks unseen. He emerges different, ruined but breathing. Something in him surrendered. The death of the ego had begun. A pigeon wing again. Memory calling him home. When Iron Mike died, people expected a phoenix rising from the ashes with fire. What rose instead was something quieter. A man learning how to live without armor. Arizona desert. Mike Tyson. Older, slower, softer. He no longer walks like a predator stalking prey. He walks like someone searching for something gentle. He keeps pigeons again. Their cooing echoes in the morning quiet. Everything that mattered in the beginning, silence, animals, nature, returned in the end. Life took him in a violent circle, back to the rooftop boy who felt safest among wings. Mike feeds them, smiling. For the first time, existence was enough. In interviews now, Tyson speaks of spirituality, mushrooms, toad venom. People laugh. He doesn't. He describes ego death. I felt myself dissolve. I saw love. I cried because I never felt safe before. The toughest opponent I ever faced was my own ego. The monster didn't die. It softened. It was integrated. The camera finds Tyson in his home recording a podcast. He gets emotional, wiping tears from his tattooed face. I hurt people because I was scared. I was a vicious, scared little boy. This isn't breakdown. It's excavation, forgiveness, not for others, for himself. News breaks of an exhibition fight with Roy Jones Jr., but look closely. This is not a comeback. It is ceremony. I faced myself, he says after the final bell. He wasn't proving he could still kill. He was proving he could compete without letting the darkness consume him. Today, strangers yell at the airport, "Iron Mike!" He waves, smiles politely, but inside, he knows. Iron Mike is buried. The persona was a shield engineered by mentors and demanded by crowds. He doesn't carry it now because he doesn't need it. Tyson talks about fear with the fluency of a scholar. Now he asks guests on his show, "What are you afraid of?" Because he knows fear is the true opponent. He spent decades punching his fear outward at other men. Now he digs into other people's souls and offers them a mirror. In a rare, quiet moment, Tyson admits, "I was a tyrant to myself. Now I just want to be kind. I want to be a good father." That is evolution. Mike Tyson is not a boxing story. It is a story of metamorphosis. A boy who built a beast to protect himself and then had to slay that beast to survive. He strokes a pigeon. He lets it go, watching it ascend into the blue sky without fear of losing it. Because now he doesn't need control to feel safe. The bird rises. Sometimes the greatest fighters aren't the ones who conquer opponents, but the ones who finally stop fighting themselves.